if we don't have enough traffic on a WEP encrypted network. So if there isn't any traffic, then there isn't any IV together, right? And we cannot actually crack the password of the WEP encryption. What happens if we come across in a situation like this? Like, we know there are some kind of stations connected to it, but we are not connected to it, right? So how, if we were connected to it, then we already knew the password of it, right? So what happens over here is that we can actually fake authenticate ourselves. So it will seem that we are connected to the network, but in fact, we won't be connected to the network. This will, what kind of good it will do? Because when we connect it to the network, it means that we know the password, but if we fake connect the network, then it means that we can actually ask some questions or generate some kind of requests and responses. And for some reason, my Kali Linux just got stopped. So yeah, it crashed for some reason. Let me just open this from scratch and tell you what we're going to do along the way. Let me just start this from right now. Here you go. Let me close this down. And while we wait, we can talk about what's going to happen. Again, we will fake authenticate ourselves. So we won't be able to connect to the internet or anything, but we can actually try to inject some packets. We can actually try to generate some traffic, right? If we can do that, it will generate some IVs along the way, and we can gather those IVs, and we can crack the password of WEP. So this isn't something that we have seen before. Now we're going to see it together. So let me try. Yeah, here you go. My Kali is open. So let me just close everything down over here, and let me make this into full screen again. And of course, since I have opened the Kali Linux from scratch, I had to do every step from scratch as well. Let me just change my keyboard over here. And by the steps, I mean, I'm going to open this file and for the folder, and I'm going to delete the cap files again, because we will need those one more time. And I don't want to give another name. I just want to delete the existing ones so we can create the new ones over here and it won't get confusing. So I suggest you do the same. And I'm going to run the ifconfig. Yeah, here you go. My WLAN now is connected, but I'm not in the monitor mode. So I'm going to go into the monitor mode. By now, you should know how to do that. So I'm going to do this quick. And here you go. I'm in the monitor mode right now. So I'm going to run the arrow dump ng as usual. Okay, first of all, I'm going to run this like in a general way so that I can get the BSS ID of the academic club. So let me see if we can see this. Yeah, here you go. Now I can hit Control C. Since I have the BSS ID right now, I can run this against this BSS ID and write the file in a cap file like we have done before. And in fact, we're just going to do the same thing like we have done before, right? So I'm going to run the arrow dump ng with this BSS ID. And let me see the channel. The channel is still in 2. Here you go. And finally, I'm going to write this to web crack or something like that. And finally, the interface name. So this is exactly the same command before. There is no change in here. But of course, we will change what we have done for the other terminal. So I'm going to let this run in this terminal. Okay, I'm going to let this run. And as you can see, data is pretty low and it's not increasing. It's increasing, but it's like an ignorable level because I have disconnected or I just closed down the applications in my phones and other computers. So I don't see any data flow over here. So even though I can just run the aircrack ng right now, it won't be able to gather the IVs and it won't be able to crack the password. Okay, so if you come across in a situation like this, if you don't see any data, of course, you can wait for someone to connect to that network and generate some traffic. But other than that, you can just create your own traffic. So we're going to use another ng tool, which is called AirPlay ng. And this time I'm going to use fake auth module, okay, rather than the authentication module like we used before. This time we're going to use fake authentication. And I'm going to say 0 because we will do this only once. Okay, I'm going to just authenticate myself and that's it. So this will just send only one packet or something like that. If it doesn't work, you can just increase this number to 10 maybe. But in this case, I believe this should work fine. So fake authentication and 0. Now, of course, we need to provide the other information like the BSS ID and also the MAC address of ourselves as well this time. Because we are trying to authenticate our wireless adapter to this network eventually. So for -A, A stands for the access point. In this case, we have to use -A. And I'm going to paste in the BSS ID. And by saying -H, okay, so I'm going to specify my own Ether or my own MAC address. So how do we get our own MAC address? So I'm going to open another tab over here. I'm going to run ifconfig. And for some reason over here, we have the MAC address. So let me just make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, here you go. As you can see, we have the MAC address, but it's a little bit complicated, right? So it should be like this because it has 6 components over here, but I need to make sure. So I'm going to run IP address in order to get the MAC address from another source and compare and contrast. So I'm going to write IP address, IP ADDR. It should have worked. So it's weird. Let me just try it like this IP address. No, it wasn't that. So it has to be IP ADDR, but for some reason it doesn't work. So maybe we have to put a space between them like IP ADDR. Here we go. That's it. Finally, I managed to do that. IP space ADDR. So it's another way to get the IP addresses or MAC addresses. So in this case, I'm just going to compare this with the previous results. So in the WLAN OMON section, yeah, here you go. This is the MAC address. So 00C0 and it ends with 6E. And yeah, here you go. It was the same thing I have shown you, but we make sure. So we have to specify this MAC address as our parameter over here. So just copy this thing or from the below. It doesn't matter, but you have to copy the exact thing. Okay. So if you make a mistake over here, it won't work. So make sure you copy the same thing with me or your own MAC address, obviously. So I'm going to paste this, and here we go. That's it. Of course, I have to specify my interface name as well. So once I hit enter, this AirPlay ng will try and fake authenticate ourselves, our own MAC address, our own wireless adapter to the actually target router over here, target network over here. So I hit enter, and here you go. You see that. Do you see the station as connected in the arrow dump ng as well? How cool is that? We are now fake authenticated over here. It seems like that we are authenticated, but we cannot actually connect to that network and browse the internet using this. What we can do, we can actually use the same command with a little bit of different module over here, rather than fake auth. So delete the fake auth, and again with the dash write ARP replay. Okay, so this will send some ARP request or ARP request. So we use the ARP request generally to match the MAC addresses with the IP addresses. We don't need that right now, and we're going to see it in the next section in detail, by the way. But we can generate some traffic by doing this ARP replay module over here, and since we are authenticated, it will be valid. So if I hit enter, it will give me an error because in this case, for the router SSID, BSSID, we need to provide another parameter. It's not -A, it's -B. I know it's confusing, but it's just the way it is. So change -A to -B. And if you get confused at some point, please make sure you pause the video and try to see the exact command and just see it for yourself. And by the way, once I do that, the data started to increase. As you can see now, it's injecting some packets. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this third terminal over here, and I'm going to run aircrack ng, right? Because right now we have some traffic going on, so I can just run ls and see the webcrack 01.cap file is in the current folder that I'm executing this command. So I'm going to say aircrack ng and paste the thing that I have copied over here and just hit enter. And as you can see right now, it started to test. So it's taking a little bit long because I believe before that we were just trying to do this like naturally because there was some heavy traffic going on, and right now we are trying to inject something over here. It says that failed, next try with 5,000 IVs. As you can see, it gathers IVs, and it tries to break the encryption with that IVs. And by the way, if you see something like this, it should continue, okay? It should continue. And as you can see, data is increasing, but it's not continuing. So I believe there's something wrong over here. Maybe we can just close this down or hit Control-C and open the aircrack ng one more time, because data is increasing right now, so the packet injection seems to be working, and everything seems to be okay. But as you can see, this got stuck for some reason. Even though I hit Control-C, it didn't actually stop here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to minimize this, okay? I'm going to minimize this and this one as well, and I'm going to just close this down because it doesn't work, and open a new terminal and run the aircrack ng from scratch. So close this down, run new terminal, and I'm going to run aircrack ng against this webcrack.cap. And here you go. Yeah, here you go. Now it worked, and we found the key. So as you can see, it was very easy to fake authenticate ourselves and inject some packets. And we have the ASCII over here, and we have the hexadecimal representation as well. So let me try this one. We already know the password is A1, B2, C. Let me see if this works. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this and paste it for my password. So yeah, I cannot see the password right now because I cannot see the available wireless networks because I'm in the monitor mode, as you can see. So I'm going to close everything down except the current terminal over here, and I'm going to go into the manage mode by running airmon ng stop wlan omon. And right now I should be in the manage mode. And here we go. But we can, I believe we have to run service network manager restart in order to restart everything so it can work. And if it doesn't work for you, you may have to shut the Kali down and open it back, but don't worry about it, okay? You can just try it with another phone as well, for example. So let me try to connect to Academy Club, and I'm gonna just give this password by just typing it manually. So I'm typing this 6131 62 32 63. Yeah, here you go, you can see it already. And if I hit connect, here you go, I'm connected. As you can see, I managed to decrypt the password, I managed to find the password and just connect it to it. So here we go. Let me try to go into google.com and see if it works or not. Great, now it works. As you can see, we managed to understand what is a WEP and how to crack it. And again, even though it's not commonly used, it's a good idea to learn this because it's good practice for learning cybersecurity. Okay, so